Yo, check it. Welcome back to another episode. How do you guys like that intro? We just did that today.
I think it was great. That was actually take 2 of the intro because somebody needed a fan.
Yeah, I needed to stop it at like 2 minutes in because it was too hot. So
the first intro is going to be a clip because it was great.
Yeah, we'll post that on Instagram.
That was funny. It was a good raw moment.
All right, Felicia, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm okay. I'm on day 3 of my day off. It's Wednesday. So usually one of my more productive days. So I work it's a 3/12 schedule, but really it's 3/14s or possibly more. But Monday's like sleep in. Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm productive. Thursday, I'm semi-productive. And then I'm sad because I got to go back to work the next day. But I'm doing pretty good.
Sounds good.
How are you doing?
I am doing great.
Are you sure?
Yes. It's been a productive week. I've been doing a lot of music, collabing with new people.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Collabing, huh?
Yeah, so I
went
to my friend's studio yesterday. They have a home studio, so I checked it out.
Oh, cool.
So we're going to be doing a few songs together. And I think it's just pretty cool to like check out other people's like home studios, you know?
The setup.
Yeah, because I'm so used to working at home. And then if you go to a different place, it's like a different vibe. So you got to like kind of like get used to it.
Right.
But overall, it's pretty cool.
Who is it? Can you say who it is?
Yeah.
Or not yet? Who is it?
You know what? Let's just make it a surprise. Oh my God. I'll tell you later. You know, you got to keep the people engaged.
He'll tell me after.
Yeah.
He'll let me. You just can't do it on camera.
It's not that big of a deal, guys.
I'm going to make him tell me after.
Yeah, so I guess our week's good.
Oh, you know what? This is random, but I need to say it because I was going to say it earlier before we cut it off for the fan. But the fan does feel great. So driving here on the 80, so the 80, we all know if you lived here in Reno, it's tiny. It never gets worked on, really. You can't really expand it because the nugget. But it's too tiny for everyone to be driving crazy, okay? Because I was stuck on there for a good minute. God bless whoever was in those accidents. But I hope they turned out okay. It didn't look like it was okay. But my gosh, people stop driving like a damn asshole on the road. There's no rush. Y'all went to driving school. I mean, you know the story. It's like if you go 60 versus 40, you're only going to arrive 2 minutes sooner. Is it going to make a difference? I don't know. Maybe if you have to clock in for work, but.
Hey, Felicia on the PSA.
But I mean, please be careful. There's families. Nothing is so important for you to be on the road and drive reckless because you're endangering your life, someone else's life. Completely unnecessary.
Yeah, especially
use your blinkers.
Especially if you guys are driving right now. Sometimes people like to listen to podcasts while driving. So drive carefully and don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole. Drive carefully and respectfully. Think about your end destination and why you need to get there.
Yeah.
The end.
All right.
Thank you.
It's cool. PSP. Thanks, Felicia.
Yeah, you're welcome. I had to get that out, you know? Okay.
Just a little rant right there.
Little rant.
Yeah, I guess let's just
jump in.
What's this week's topic?
So this week's topic is kind of inspired by recent events, but I can actually speak to it.
True story, guys.
True story. It inspired me. But it did. But it's stuff that we've all gone through, and it's about perception.
You want to explain?
So kind of like the outside looking in, right? So when you're talking to somebody, right, and I'm the outside person looking at you, I'm going to create my own opinion of what you're talking about based off your body language, based off the environment.
Are we just talking about like your perception of other people and how other people
perceive you? Yes.
Perceive you?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I want to discuss.
All right. Discuss
and
away.
And I guess a little bit can be your values too, right? Like the importance between perception versus value. What is more important? What should be important to you as the individual? But a little backstory in some of the situations. that I'm going through right now. So obviously I work a 9 to 5, and I enjoy doing what I do at my 9 to 5. I'm operations management right now. So, there's a great deal of responsibility there. But also, I do things like this, right? I have the studio. I'm trying to be creative. I make things. We're trying to get this business off the ground. I'm trying to support Anthony with Neon Babylon, do my planters with the plants are all right. In addition to that, trying to do something of my own with my sister, right? So I have to work very hard to try and separate the two while I build my small businesses. But we had some opportunities recently that could have potentially taken up like a Sunday, which I don't know if it's going to pan out. It's a whole nother story. But if it did pan out, basically every other Sunday, I had to leave work early. So essentially I'd only be working half a day for the next 3 months on a Sunday, every other Sunday. So it's like one full day a week. Doesn't seem too bad, but because I work a 312 or 314 schedule.
When you only work 3 days, when you have to miss the third day.
Right, it's like, you need another day off. My gosh. And if anybody knows my work ethic of how I truly am when I'm at work and I work for somebody else, I'm very committed. And that sometimes has its negativity attached to it, but I like to do a good job. That's how I was raised. The perception of me, unfortunately, weighs the true, like whether it's my mental health or my true feelings or motives behind it.
Perception of you that you work too hard?
That I do a good job.
Oh.
Like I want people to see me and be like, oh, she's a good worker. She does a good job. However people view me, that's how I want to be seen. I want them to see me doing a good job. Okay. But in regards to that, so I'm trying to not drag it out too much, but basically because I had to be gone, I obviously had to go to my manager, senior manager, and basically say, hey, I already played this out in my mind. I know it looks bad, but I need to take off every other Sunday potentially because of this. And they know why. I mean, they know going in that this is something that I was doing prior to me getting hired. And at first it was like, oh yeah, it's fine. But I think conversation was had with the general manager, so it got escalated a little bit. But I'm very transparent too, and when I work, so I'm not afraid to just be like, this is what's going on. So I did have a conversation with both, obviously my senior manager and then the general manager as well. But the words that kept popping up is like, hey, we understand. I know you're not abusing your time off or the policies that we have for time off, but just know the perception of it, right? If your name is on the calendar that much, what your peers might think. Or what, if it gets to that level, what the VP or president might think, right? Mm-hmm. If they see you constantly on the calendar trying to be off. And then it was like, even though you do a good job, because we know that you do a good job, it still doesn't look good, right? Because perception-wise, visually seeing you gone that much,
which makes sense. Like
doesn't look good.
I mean, I can't totally blame them, It's like
no, and I do, and I totally understand that. Trust me, I've thought about this all the way through to having those opinions of myself, which is why I treaded lightly and was very understanding. But I'm like, at what point do you put your foot down basically and be like, no, like that, it's not okay to always say that perception wise, that's how you should be judged. Why can't it be your work ethic, what you do for the company, how well you do it? Like why is it always just a quick, this is what I see, so this is what it is. Mm-hmm. And you're not ever really given the opportunity to truly like explain it, or, they just kind of wipe it off their shoulder, maybe work-life balance.
Because I feel like as a society, we're so used to, we just tend to like focus on the negative. Mm-hmm. Let's say you do a good job, right?
Yeah.
like you most of the time you're doing a pretty good job, but then if you do something wrong, that's how everybody kind of remembers you. You know, like when you mess up, that's what they focus on.
But why? That's what
I
I'm
mean,
and see and I'm forcing myself to think that way because I already think the opposite way. Like I'm probably lumped in with the people that are like, "Oh, you did that one bad thing, that's going to taint you your whole career." You know, but why does it have to be that way? And maybe that's more a question to our viewers, you know, why as human beings do we automatically focus and draw into the negative
yeah,
versus thinking about the 99 wonderful things that that person has done. But you know what? This one time you made a mistake.
yeah. Because like I mean, like if you really think about it, that's just I don't want to say that's how it is, but like I feel like that's kind of like the norm, and it's I don't have the answer for it honestly.
Right.
Like for me, like I try my best to like just be neutral about everything. Even if they do a good job, it's more like I just want everything to be kind of neutral. Like it's
Right.
not neither good or bad, but just focus on like it is what it is, you know?
But see, and then, but even going more into that, it's like no matter what, even if you try to be neutral and your actions are neutral, you know, you try to portray that to your viewers, someone's still going to have a different perception of what you mean.
And this is what at least for me, I try not to care what other people think about me. And like it was funny
That's
because
hard
like
to do.
I know it's really hard to do because
It's
I
so
remember
hard.
it's like about a month ago, like when we went out and then we were talking at the bar, and you told me that you, I guess you perceive me as somebody that doesn't give a shit,
Yeah.
which is the best compliment I've ever had from Felicia, because it's like I want to live my life that way, you know, not
Right.
caring about what other people are thinking. Obviously it's difficult because I mean growing up I'm so used to caring about what other people think about me, and obviously I want to try to please everybody to like me in that way.
Right.
But I guess at the end of the day, like you can't change other people's perception of you,
Right.
so you're just gonna have to change your perception of you.
Yeah.
So you're just gonna have to like not give a fuck.
That's very true.
It's not easy to. It's
But
definitely not easy to
That's
do.
very hard to master, I think, especially if you've grown up kind of with that perception of yourself, meaning you don't have the perception of yourself. It's almost like you kind of live in everybody else's eyes
Exactly.
because you're trying to please everybody, and I think that's a little bit what I am, to be honest. I'm like a people pleaser. You know, I'm like, I got to do my best, you know, it's going to kill me. You know, it might affect who I am, my mental health, but you know what? I'm going to still give it my all because I care about what you think versus how I think or what's going to happen in the outcome.
Yeah, because I think you should focus on. Obviously, when you want to do your best at whatever you're doing, but then at the same time, you should just focus on you're doing your best because you want to, and not
Right.
to
Do it makes you happy.
yeah, not to please other people.
See, and that's the thing, and I think that's where I struggle because I do enjoy doing what I do, like operations, logistics. I, in a sense, kind of changed my career to be in the position that I'm in, but I also love doing this too, you know, but it's almost like the closer I become, not closer, but the more I become involved with all these extra curricular activities from the outside, like looking from me working my 9 to 5, the more I become involved in this stuff, the harder it is to be the other person.
I mean,
40 hours a week.
honestly, you don't need the
24
other
hours a week.
person.
No, I know, and I understand that, but it's like, you know, there's always that weird transition.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're in that transition phase right now, which is, you know, it's definitely difficult. But then, like, I'm not gonna say that it's just gonna be a smooth ride from here on out.
Right.
Especially if you do get the Sundays off for whatever outside of work that you're doing. But I don't know. I think you're just gonna have to work on that. At least your perception of yourself, and
Right.
like just not give.
It's like I think somebody. It's almost like perfectionism, right? You just want to be perfect at everything.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, and I was just reading this in a book the other day, or I think a couple nights ago, and it was basically saying perfection, or the fear of not being perfect, is more of the fear of being fearful. If I'm recalling that correct, I might have to bring it up on my phone and read it. But it made sense, or it resonated with me, because it's almost like you're so afraid to not be 100% that you're just afraid to be afraid. If that makes sense, does that
Yeah,
make sense?
because I like this quote. It's kind of like this, kind of similar to that. It's don't let perfection be in the way of what's good enough. Because I think we're so scared of what other people are thinking that we always want to be perfect, I guess. I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with putting your best foot forward, but then sometimes it cripples people, you know?
Right.
And like, you say you post something on social media, you care about what other people are thinking, and instead of posting it, you just decide to not do that.
Right.
And it's just, why do you care? Like, other people don't care. Like, I see people's posts, like, I see it, and it, after a couple seconds of seeing it, I'm just already over it.
You're not even really thinking.
Yeah.
As much as we think that everybody cares or is looking that much into it, nobody really cares.
Yeah, because like obviously, like I support other people's craft, and like I share it sometimes, and I pay attention. I like it, but then right after that, I'm just like, okay,
It's not even a thought.
yeah, I'm over it.
Which is almost, in a sense, that's kind of
Like,
sad, right?
yeah, it's silly to like think that people care so much about what you're doing, because in reality, people really don't give a shit. I mean, we talked about this in the last episode, and not in a way that they don't want you to succeed. It's just we have our own shit to worry about, you know?
Right.
As much as I want to like be there for everybody and then support everybody's thing, is like, after I like your post or share it, whatever, I'm just kind of like, I gotta move on with my life, I guess. Like, it sounds so mean, but this just
No, but it's true. But
that's
that's
just how everybody is, I think.
Yeah.
At least that's how I am.
Our attention for something is so short, unless it's truly important to you.
Yeah.
I was trying to find the quote to read it exactly, but maybe I'll post about it later when we post the clip. But it's hard. I think somebody who is so critical of themselves, and that's how I feel about myself, which kind of hinders my own self-happiness, I want to say, right? Because I'm always nitpicking every little thing that I do, and then it also prevents my progress, even as a business owner, right? It's like I have this idea, I have a certain way I want to execute, but then if it's not perfect in my head, then I don't release it, because I'm like, oh, it's not good enough. And it's funny because while I was looking for the quote and kind of piggybacking off what you were talking about a little bit, talking about perfection, it was saying that done is better than good.
Yeah.
Because you finished, it's done, it's out there, whether it's perfect or not perfect. Even in a perfect world, or something that you consider perfect, someone will always have a different opinion, and it may not be the opinion that you want, or a different perspective, a perception of what you're trying to release to the world.
Yeah, because like for me, every time I post something, it's always, in my head, it's never perfect, because obviously I want it to be better. But then, as long as I'm satisfied with it and it's in my head, it's good enough to post. I think they just kind of just like fuck it,
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, people don't really, like I said, they don't, after
Yeah,
a few minutes or a few seconds, they're over it, you
Right.
know? And then for you to not post something,
Right. Or not finish something,
Yeah.
or release something,
Yeah, especially for all the creatives or the entrepreneurs that are doing something. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, posting on social media is so important. And especially, like, if you post a lot, you shouldn't care about what other people are thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you want people to like your stuff.
Right.
But then don't let that be the crippling stage where you're like, I want this to be perfect, and then I'm not gonna post anything until it's perfect. Because if you really think about it, let's say you post once a week, and you made so many different things. Let's say you made content for 7 days a week, right? And then you only post one because like that's only one was the perfect post. Like, how many posts are you gonna like?
Right.
It's gonna take you so long to get to a certain point, you know, because you're only posting once a week instead of posting every day for the next 6 months. Like, can you imagine if you post every single day for the next 6 months? Will you be at like, especially for photographers or just anything? I guess you're doing. You're constantly on people's feed.
Right.
Like, they can see what you're doing, and then if you're only posting once a week, I'm only gonna see your like. I don't even see people's posts sometimes.
Yeah.
And then if you only post once a week, like.
Yeah, I know. And I have that problem. Not necessarily because I'm like, oh, I don't know what to post, but because I need to dedicate a certain time of day to do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because it can be a little bit overwhelming. But no, but it's very true. I mean, I think there's a lot of like mental wars that I think, like for me, you know, speaking for myself, that I have when it comes to posting or how I do at work or what it's going to be like if I'm not there or if I'm here. Like, for instance, like, you know, how I look on camera, you know, little things like that. Or when you guys come to the studio, what's your thought? Do you like it? And it's like, it can be so...
It's stressful, honestly.
Stressful. It is. It's like a constant battle to try and tell myself that you did what you could. It is what it is. And people accept it, you know, and if they don't, so be it. Versus, no, it's like you have to love it. You have to like it. And I think that's just something I'm trying to work through as a human, you know.
Everybody is.
You know, just trying to figure out how to free myself from those constant thoughts, because when you think about it, that's also taking up a large portion of my free time, because I'm battling that versus doing something more productive.
Yeah, because like when you overthink at that level, let's say you spend an hour overthinking about posting something. You could have done so many different things in that hour.
You could have done a live. You could have done a reel.
Yeah, you could have posted 3 different things. And that's like a lot, too, in that hour. But instead, you're sitting there trying to contemplate about posting.
What am I going to post? How is it going to look?
Yeah. Because honestly,
what do I write? What's the
I used to think that way. And then after like the algorithm and Instagram just went to shit and it's just all over the place, I just stopped giving a shit. I was like, I give up on this, trying to figure this out.
Right.
I just post whatever, whenever. I even repost stuff. I don't care. Because, like I said, like in my head, I don't think people really care anyways. So why not, right? And I think for me, especially when I did my album as well, in my head, I wanted everybody to like my songs, you know? Like every single song that I made, those 8 songs, I want everybody to love it. But then, like, when I think about it really as a consumer standpoint, I like songs that I like.
Right.
And I can't expect people to like every single one of my songs. Because, like, some songs that I don't like, and then some people love it, you know? So it's like, who am I to be, like, the perfect guy that made, like, all these amazing songs that everybody likes? It's like, that's so egotistic of me, you know? To expect that people would like it, people would share it. Like,
Right.
And it just, like, after I just let go of that, I decided to just make songs that I really enjoyed, that I really like, that I would actually listen to, even if it wasn't my song, you know? And then after that, I was just, post it, and then if people like it, cool. If not, that's cool too. Like, I'll have my audience that actually, like, people that actually like my song. Because I'm not here to try to please everybody, Because, like, for me, I like certain songs. There are some songs that I hate. There's some songs that I don't like. And, like, that doesn't mean that they're bad. It's just like, it's not my thing.
It's something that you don't prefer.
Yeah, that I don't value.
That you don't value.
Yeah, which
That's
is
very true.
a cool transition.
It's true. I mean, there's a lot. We might have to talk about perception a little more. It's just more like a rant. But in regards to that, I think that's a very positive way to go about the things that you create, because it seems less stressful.
It really is.
And when you're doing things that makes you the most happy, I feel like success will follow that.
Because I think, like, the most freeing feeling in the world is not caring what other people are thinking. Even like the closest people to you, like your family, your closest friends. Like, if you don't care what they think, you're basically free,
Yeah.
That's some shit.
I'm gonna work towards that.
Because honestly,
I think I care about too many people thinking about what I think about. But
yeah, because like, even when you told me that I seem like I don't give a shit, in reality, I'm still trying to figure it out. For the most part, yeah, like, I don't give a shit. But like, so there are some days where I really do care what other people are thinking about me. And I don't know if there's really a way to get rid of that completely.
Right.
But then if I just do my best to most of the time not care what other people are thinking, that's still kind of moving forward in, positive direction.
Right. So let me ask you this. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, or if anybody who's watching has experienced this, but so say, for instance, we'll just start at the bottom level. Like, say you're working, whatever, you're just working, you work for a bunch of other people, right? You have your supervisor, your manager, and without having that experience, right? When you're doing a very labor intensive position.
What experience?
Like the experience of being in management.
Oh, okay.
Right. So if you don't have any experience being in management and you don't really know what that entails, from the outside looking in, you really shouldn't have an opinion of what should be in their day-to-day. And what I mean by that is, when you have a very labor intensive job, and don't get me wrong, like, people work hard, and that is amazing, for whatever job that you do. I know that there's a lot of people out there that work their butts off, for whatever job that there is. But another thing that made me think about perception is a comment that was given to me saying that, like, oh, well, all you do is sit there. Right. And I'm in that management position, and I'm like, and I've always hated that, because I've gone from this level to that level. So I've had that perception of my upper management before. And then I got the position, and I'm like, dang, there's a lot that goes on.
Okay, so I'm smiling if you're watching the video, and you're probably not going to like my answer to that question. So in my opinion, everybody has their own opinion.
Yeah.
Regardless of if you're doing a good job, great job, if you're doing amazing, perfectly, people are still going to have opinions of you.
Right.
So I feel like it doesn't matter.
It's another one of those, who gives a shit?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day.
No, I know. And I know it shouldn't bother, but it's like, sometimes you get in your emotional bag. You're human, right? And as much as you try to kind of put those emotions at bay and separate the two, you might be having an off day, so it's like, when you hear those type of comments, it's like, like, yeah, for me, it's like you just want to be mad. Like,
I mean,
I'm like, who are you to tell me I'm sitting down? And it's like, yeah, I was sitting down, but I was doing shit.
Because honestly, it's like, I don't blame you. I really don't. I really don't. I totally understand. I totally get it. Like, sometimes you just want to shake people a little bit, you know? But
I don't.
It's just
if you know where I work, I don't.
Honestly, because like sometimes it happens to me too. When people talk shit online, like sometimes I get like trolls commenting about like, oh, you suck or whatever. Like sometimes you just want to shake people a little bit, but then fuck, it's like you can't stop that.
I know.
There's really no way.
I know.
There's really no way to stop it.
And there's really moments where I'm like, I don't care. But then sometimes there are moments where I'm like, God, why did you say that?
Sometimes, like, if you get those moments, like, don't feel bad. Like, fuck it. Cry if you need to.
Sometimes I do be crying. I'm on the way home from work and I'm like, oh, these people tell me, blah, blah, blah.
Because honestly...
But see, work shouldn't make you do that either. Like,
I know, but
oh, fuck.
I don't know if you guys, like, some of you guys don't know me personally, but I'm very direct and blunt person. And not a lot of people can probably
handle the heat.
Handle that, but yeah, it's just like, fuck.
Yeah, I know.
That's the only answer I can give you.
It was definitely one of those situations where it's like one through. Get it right. Get it right, Felicia. In one ear and out the other. And that's what I needed it to be. But I think in the moment and just coupling with the whole like me trying to take time off and then, you know, perception. It's like I was surrounded. I was drowning in this word. Perception. Because
I think it's at the end of the day, when you're good, like internally, nothing else outside of that can shake you, you know?
Right.
And obviously,
I need some healing.
Yeah, you definitely do. I'm not saying...
Thanks.
I'm not...
Mr.
Like,
Blunt.
obviously, like, I'm not perfect, so I'm still struggling with that. Sometimes outside sources or whatever affect me, and it gives me, like, a bad mood because somebody said something or something happened that, like, I couldn't control.
Right.
And sometimes I'm... Like sometimes I pull myself back to like, why did that bother me so much?
Yeah.
You know? So like, I'm gonna tell you guys like a quick story. It's like, it's so stupid that you're gonna laugh.
So I hope so.
So I went to Dunkin Donuts like a couple of weeks ago.
I'm already laughing.
Yeah. It's a funny and stupid ass story.
Dunkin Donuts.
Yeah. Because normally I get my coffee there, right? So I have the app. So they have this deal for like a whole month if you're like a rewards app member or whatever.
Okay.
Your cold brew, like medium cold brew, is only $3. So I was like, all right, $3 for a cold brew, like that's cool. So I decided to go to Dunkin Donuts, ordered the cold brew, the medium cold brew, because I was expecting to pay $3. I know, she's already laughing because it's stupid. So I went to the window to pay, showed them my app, so they scanned it. It didn't work. Like the scanner didn't work or whatever.
Right.
So I was like, huh. And then the guy asked me again, can I scan it again? Because like the machine's not working.
Yeah.
So he scanned it again. And then when he scanned it again, I was already kind of annoyed. Because I was like, it's not working. Like, I only want to pay $3 for this cold brew. And then he was like, oh, sorry, our machine's broken. So is there any other way to pay for this? Like, I was like, okay. I was kind of like, it triggered me because I was like, I only wanted to pay $3 for this stupid ass coffee. But then I was like, all right, fine. I'll give you a debit card. Because like the medium cold brew is like $5.
Okay.
So I was like, fuck, $5? So I gave him the card and then he scanned it. Like, so I paid $5. And then I drove off. I was like pissed, annoyed. I was like, what the fuck? Like I came Dunkin Donuts, I only have to pay $3,
$3.
and now I had to pay $5 because of that $2. I was driving on the freeway. I was annoyed and pissed, but then
He's probably the guy I'm talking about on the 80 pissing me off.
But then I caught myself. I was like, "Is that $2? Am I really gonna get pissed because of that fucking $2 and ruin my day because of that $2?" And I just felt so ashamed and like entitled.
Right.
I didn't want to be a Karen, you know?
Yeah.
And then I was like, why
Sorry
am I
if your
getting
name is Karen.
why am I getting pissed because I had to pay $2
More, right.
$2 more for a coffee?
Right.
And then I was just like, that's just fucking stupid. And then I was just kind of like let it go. I was like, fuck it. Whatever, it's $2. And then I just
It's like, what in that moment made, like, why?
why? It's like, why?
Something you couldn't have controlled.
Yeah, I couldn't control it, obviously, and then it's only $2. Like at
See,
the end
I'm
of the day,
silly, right? Because I'm like, it's something you can't control, and then I'm over here basically crying about other people,
yeah,
and I'm like, I can't control them either. But see, it's so much easier to be the viewer, right? And trying to analyze and critique and talk
like,
about your life.
if you really listen to that story, it's
When I'm
fucking
talking about
stupid.
my life,
you
I'm
know,
like,
it's just first world problem. Sound being
$2,
entitled,
bro, that's-
yeah.
I could understand maybe if it was like $10.
Yeah.
And you were supposed to pay for it.
And then like in my head, I was just like, I'm not gonna ruin my day just because of $2 fucking dollars.
Now, did you ruin his day? Did you? Share
No,
your
I was
attitude?
being nice about it, but I was kind of like,
He's like gritting through
no,
his teeth.
I was super nice. I was like, okay, that's fine. But then in my like honestly, I was a little like, no, not like pissed, but I was just irritated that
Right.
I had to use my card instead of using the app. And yeah, it's silly, you know.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's stupid. So yeah, don't let little things fucking ruin your day. I think that's just the lesson of that story.
I know. whatever it may be.
Especially so early in the day. It's like, is that going to control the rest of the day if you let that $2, let that shit go.
Let it go.
Yeah. And yeah, so in relating to your story, just fucking fuck it. Yeah.
Sorry.
Because honestly, there's no other answers I can give you
I know.
than because you already like at the end of the day, deep inside of you, you know that
know.
that you can't.
I know.
People just have opinions and just.
I think maybe to transition, right? Because we want to talk about values a little bit more, but maybe it's just my value in other people is.
You put people on the pedestal
more than what I held value in myself, right? Like it's almost like I just need to believe in what I'm doing because obviously my motive and my action
if you really think
behind
about it, you talk to yourself so badly, but then if other people talk to you that way, you're not gonna take that shit. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true.
it's so true because
Right.
when you talk shit to yourself, you're like, it seems okay.
Yeah, it's like it's acceptable now.
Yeah, but then when other people say it in your face, you get mad.
Yeah.
So it's like,
or if you hear it about your friends,
yeah.
you know.
So it's
why do we take that?
I think
How do you break that?
it's definitely a lot of.
It's like coming from somebody who really struggles, and this might take a different turn, but how do you break those thoughts about yourself?
I mean,
You know, where do you start? And I think I've tried to start and then I've stopped and start and stop over and over again. And it's interesting because now that I know that the perception that I have of myself and maybe even the value that I hold of myself isn't where it should be, so much to the point that I've tried to make it a point to not show that to my son.
yeah, because
I don't want him to pick up on those negative cues and him reflect that onto himself.
Because I think to work on that, you got to do some like shadow work. I I don't know if you want to get into that now. We can talk about it on the next podcast.
Yeah, probably a next. And I think if anyone here has done shadow work and can speak to it, let us know, because I would definitely love to have somebody who can talk about what exactly that entails, because I've done my research and you've told me about it, and I've had like these random calls, not random, but people have reached out who maybe I haven't spoken with in a long time, and they start talking about shadow work.
Yeah, because honestly,
I need.
After doing it myself, it changed me so much.
I think I need it for sure.
But we'll just leave that for the next episode.
Yeah, another episode.
Just a little teaser. So you guys have to listen into the next episode, probably.
Whenever that one.
Yeah.
You think that'll be the next episode?
I mean, we could. We'll see.
If we have somebody that can speak to it.
Yeah, because I think it would be good to have another opinion. Oh,
absolutely. Yeah, because, I think for something like that, I think it's important to have somebody who is knowledgeable of
because I think
that is, or how it can be conducted, or how it should be done.
Yeah, so shadow work is basically, don't quote me on this. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I think it's basically looking inwards to yourself. Like anything that happens around you, like why is it affecting you? You should look into.
Right.
At least that's how I kind of view it. It could be, I don't know what the definition is, but I think at least that's the kind of shadow work I was doing. So anything that was like triggering me, I just looked into myself and like, why does that bother me? You know, when somebody does something, why do I care? Right.
Interesting.
But yeah, we'll talk about that next time.
I think that would be a great topic.
Yeah.
That'd be a great topic.
Because I think that's definitely an episode by itself.
Absolutely.
I don't want to just,
I might get deep.
Start crying the podcast.
Bring
but yeah.
Tissues.
Anyways, value. What do you want to talk about value?
And I don't know if this is going to be the greatest transition, but something that we're experiencing right now as a small business is, I guess, at what point do other people find, or how do I want to say this? At what point in your business or your career do people find value in you and your worth as a business? And the reason why I say that is because we're trying to approach the territory of trying to be more like a business. You know what I mean? Like, obviously we will always do things out of love, but we do want to make money. You know what I mean? So we're starting to come across situations where we're trying to start things or do things, and it's almost like, you're shown the love, right? Their perception of you is like, oh, it's great. You guys are wonderful. We love what you're doing. But then the minute we try to put value in terms of dollar signs to what we do or what we can bring, it's like, oh, you know what? We can't do it.
Yeah, so this is going to be one of those answers again that you're probably not going to like. People value what they value.
Right.
And so in terms of your question, is like with your own business, people are going to value you when you start valuing yourself.
Right.
When you start, let's say, you provide a service, right? Or you're selling something. You have to set that standard for everybody.
Right.
So if you're gonna sell something for, like, let's say $100, whatever it is, that's how much you want to sell it, never go down that number.
Right.
Because like people that will value whatever you're selling will pay $100 for that. And at the end of the day, same for my music. It's kind of like when I put a song out there, obviously I want people to like it, but then there's only really a certain people that will like that song,
Right.
There's no way for me to convince people like, oh, please like the song. No matter how much I try, no matter how many times I share that shit, people will like it if they like it.
If they like it.
Because at the end of the day, like the consumer always judges it, you know? Let's say you sell something for $100. There will be the right people that will pay $100 for that.
Right.
Some people might pay more if they really see the value of it. But then at the end of the day, it's just like you're just gonna have to set that standard. Like if you really think whatever you're providing or whatever you're selling
Right.
is worth that amount, then make that a standard and never go down that.
Right.
And it's gonna suck because there's a lot of people that are gonna fall off.
Right.
You know, but then at the end of the day, you've leveled up to this point where I'm charging this much, and just take it or leave it.
Right.
And
That's
that's
true.
because like that's for you to decide whatever value or whatever you're providing. If you think
Right.
it's worth that much,
You just gotta take it and kind of move on.
yeah. Because like for me, when I first started, let's just talk about photography. I started 2 to 3 years ago. I wasn't even charging, and I already like when I first started, I felt bad for charging because you know I enjoy it, like it's fun for me. But then it's like, oh, I already have the camera. Like it doesn't cost me anything to take pictures, right? But then the more I took pictures, and then I was like, I was buying all this equipment. Like if you're into photography, you know those stuff, the equipment like the lighting, your camera, your lenses, those things aren't cheap.
It's not
They're
cheap.
they're super expensive. And then I was looking back, I was like, man, if I charged for my photos, like I could have
Right.
bought all this stuff that I wanted.
Yeah.
And then I end up, paying out of pocket because I wasn't charging. So slowly I was charging, because I felt bad because, I didn't see my value.
Yeah.
And then slowly I was just going up every time. You get more comfortable every time you ask.
Right.
So once you get to a point where, honestly, if you're dragging your feet trying to price something, let's say you price something for $100, and then you're like, I should have charged more.
Right.
Then you already know you should have
You
charged
should
more.
have charged more. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just
Yeah. And I'm not, with what we're doing right now, like I'm pretty comfortable in what we charge, but I'm like, there's just been some situations where it's kind of like, oh, well, we'll see. It's the way I conduct myself in business is very different than I'm starting to see how other people conduct themselves in business. Like I'm very straightforward. It's like there needs to be a lot of communication. You know what I mean? But, there's some situations where you're not going to have that, and it is what it is. But, when, say if you're working with other people and you get the breakdown of where that value is going, you start to see how low on the totem pole you're valued as a company, in my opinion, right? Because when it comes to business, sometimes that usually equates to money. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, damn, like when you're barely placed on the table, you're like, shit, like I thought we were doing a little bit better, but I think it also is just really good experience.
Yeah.
I think it's almost very eye-opening because you'll start to see where you are in the grand, like the bigger picture, and it's super important though that you do go through those situations because then you know how much harder you have to work, because that's what it does. Like for me and my husband, usually when something like that happens, it's like, oh, we need to work harder because that shouldn't even be a thought or, like it shouldn't even be like, oh, well, this is where you are. Like it should be.
Because honestly, in my perception of you guys, you work hard. You don't need to work harder. At least from my point of view,
Right.
this is just my opinion. I could be wrong.
Well, thank you. That's nice to hear.
But
that's really good to hear.
you just need to fucking say, sometimes you just got to say no.
Yeah.
If you really feel like you're dragging your feet doing something, either charge more or don't do it at all.
Right.
And it's tough because, you know, when you're starting off, you're obviously kind of not necessarily desperate, but you want to take every single.
Yeah, you're just trying
like,
to find your footing. Like,
you're trying to find your footing, and then
what
you know,
works,
little
what doesn't
cash
work.
here and there is good, but then if you really want to make it in the long term, that's for you to really like put your foot down and be like, hey, this is how much this costs.
Right.
Either you take it or leave it.
This is
But
the
then-
value that we have in our company.
Yeah.
This is why.
Because you honestly,
And
you
if
just
this
gotta
is what
put
you can't pay.
you gotta put that value on yourself.
Yeah,
Because
that's
if you don't
true.
value yourself high enough, then people are just gonna walk all over you, and people are just
Yeah.
and you're gonna let it happen, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because you're like, okay, I'll take this, you know, whatever. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's your job to set that standard for
Set the
people.
bar.
Because like you said, like we treat ourselves so badly,
Mm-hmm.
but then if other people, you know,
Pick up on that or.
and
start
if
to
other people,
notice.
yeah, then we don't like it when people treat us badly, but then we
Right.
treat ourselves that bad, you know.
Yeah, that's hard.
So at the end of the day, it's just it's gonna be so tough to ask for more.
Mm-hmm.
But then the more you do it, it's gonna get easier. It's
Right.
kind of like a muscle that you keep working, you know.
That makes sense.
So yeah, I think I don't like giving advice, but like you can take whatever I say, or you can tell me to fuck off.
Yeah.
It's like it's up to
That's
you.
what I say too. I'm like,
'Cause-
I'm gonna tell you, and if
Because
you take
honestly,
it
it's
what
like
it
if you,
is.
because for me, when I give advice to people, I even sometimes tell them, "Don't fucking listen to me."
But
Even
I'm
like if I,
but I'm gonna
if,
waste
even if
my
my
breath.
advice is like amazing or whatever, you should listen to yourself. If you
Right.
think that my advice is stupid and you should just go with whatever you're feeling,
Right.
fuck it, go for it. I don't give a fuck. You know, at the end of the day, you're you, and you're gonna do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Or I hope you do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
You know?
I hope so too. But see, that's a good thing too about having, like, my husband. You know, I feel like he has that mentality. Like, we're a good balance, you know, and a lot of people. I mean, I don't know a lot of other entrepreneurs that are in a relationship. Maybe because I don't really know anybody.
You need more friends, Felicia.
I need more friends. We're gonna start a friend hotline.
We need a friend group.
A friend group. I was thinking about starting a book club. Me and my friend
Nerds.
Daisy have been talking about this since last year. So Daisy, if you happen to watch this, we're gonna start a book club. Anyways, but my husband and I work really good together. Like personality wise, the things that we do. Like I think I need to put myself out there more because I'm very, and a lot of people don't know this. Like as far as logistics go. That's my jam. And I think I need to show that off more because people might use me a little bit more for that.
Yeah.
But I'm just very secretive about it. Like when we have these little meetings and I'm like, just open your mouth. Like I just need to do it.
And
I
you just need to, you know.
I mean, because you guys see it sometimes too. Anthony sees it 100%. But like other people that we come across, I just need to kind of take it and go. Charge.
Go for it,
Not
Felicia.
literally charge,
Just
but
do
like
it.
charge, like you're charging forward. Okay.
Because honestly, like you're pretty good at, you know, all the things that you do, and you do a very great job doing it too.
Cool.
I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah,
I
good job,
just do good
Felicia.
things. I do good things, even though I think. All
But
the
then
things I do are
honestly, it's
bad.
like this. You gotta, like I said, you gotta set that standard for yourself.
Yeah.
You know.
I think starting with myself for sure because that'll kind of ripple into me being a business owner.
Yeah, because like honestly, if it's frustrating to you that people are not valuing whatever you're offering,
Right.
then if you really think about it like deeply, like who's really at fault there? You know,
Whose fault is
who's
that?
the one? Like who? You're the one that set the price, or like if we're just talking about money, you know,
Right.
if we're just talking about financials, you're the one that set the price. And like, if you're saying it's that much, then why do you feel like you should be charging more?
Right.
You know?
But what if it's like you did charge, but then you already answered that question. You're
Yeah,
like,
say no, like,
you
fuck
say
you,
no, then
you know?
move on. Okay. I was like, what if you did charge? And then it's like, well, yeah.
Yeah, because like sometimes it's like the things that I don't like to do, what I do is charge them so much more.
Oh, now you're getting the secrets.
Yeah, I'm giving you guys a fucking secret.
So when he gives you an outrageous price, you don't want to do it.
It's because I don't want to fucking do it. Honestly, it's like, fuck it. And it's just like, for me, if I'm going to drag my feet to do something, I better get paid a lot for it, you know? And then if they say no, I'm like, okay, then I don't care. Like, I don't
do it.
Yeah, I don't need that money or whatever. And then if they do say yes, even if I have to drag my feet, at least I still get paid a lot more. And like in my head, it makes me, I guess, satisfied and happier to do it because, I know I'm going to get paid this much, even though this is not that fun for me.
Yeah.
So just do it. Like, do it in that way. I guess like that would be my advice. If you're doing something that you don't necessarily like, then just charge more. But then you have to.
And if you're doing something that you love, still charge.
Yeah, still charge. Yeah,
because that's my problem. I'm like, I
just because you love it doesn't mean
it's for free.
Yeah, because like people, I sometimes
sure.
kind of hate this because like, especially when you're passionate about something, you know, like obviously you do it because you love it, right?
Right.
And then people make you feel guilty because they see it's like, oh, you really love that because that's your, like, you know, that's your passion. But then when you start charging for it, they make you feel guilty because like art shouldn't be monetized. No, fuck that shit. It's like,
fuck that shit.
You see all these artists that get paid hella money
I know people
for doing whatever, and why should I feel guilty?
Someone's gonna buy it. Someone's gonna pay you. Someone's gonna buy it. You need to make a living.
Because like at the end of the day, someone's gonna like your shit. Somebody's gonna hate your shit. Focus on the people that like it, and focus on the people that would actually pay for your shit too.
Right.
You know,
that's true.
Don't try to convince people. And that's one of my advice too. Don't try to convince people
that you're worth it.
That you're worth it. Because you're never gonna change their mind. And then if you do, you're gonna have some sort of resentment. Somebody's gonna have resentment in there. You know, it's either you or the other person.
I like it.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Honestly, this whole episode is just about not giving a fuck.
I think so. I'm like, what did we learn? It doesn't matter what people think of you or see of you or hear of you, as long as your motive and your action, like your heart behind it is
your
true.
Intentions always.
Yeah, as long as your intentions are true and they're right and they're positive and it makes you happy.
Yeah, because honestly,
who cares?
Sometimes.
And then if you have value in yourself, and they're not on that same level of value, then screw to you.
Because honestly, sometimes I feel a little guilty because like, I do this one thing, right? Let's say I do a photo shoot. It's so easy for me to do that shoot.
Yeah.
And then I charge whatever I charge. It's like, I can do that so easily. And I'm charging this much. But then at the end of the day, I've worked so hard to get to that point where I should be charging that much. And then like people, as long as they're happy with it, like if the client's happy with whatever I gave them, like that's the value right there, you know?
Right.
Yeah, fuck it, dude. Charge for your shit.
So before we end, I know JERiCK don't like long podcasts.
Yeah. Nobody wants to listen to us for 2 hours.
I know it's not going over 2 hours. Maybe like an hour and some change. But I have to ask this question because the talk of perception and value and stuff, it's making me think of this. So when I was in high school, I had a really good English teacher. And I love English. I love writing. Like, for real. I've been told many times I should have been an English teacher, but but I did not. Maybe later on in life, next life. But we were on the topic of perception. My God, this is like a common theme in my life. But he would ask, or he would talk about the individual, right? Almost like existentialism a little bit. I think that's what he was getting into, like the I and the non-I and where you are in the world. I don't know. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that because I kind of forgot about what it was. But he would always say this phrase, and he would say, I know what love is because I know what it's not.
Yeah, that's kind of like saying, when we say we don't know what we want, sometimes... Like you know what
you haven't experienced it
because
yet.
you do know what you want when you know what you don't want, right?
Yes,
it's basically the opposite of that.
Exactly.
So if you don't want this, that means that's what you want, right?
That's what you want. Or you've experienced something, and so now it's like a constant want. And then your perception or your perspective, your opinion, your whole idea of what something is something that you've created in your mind, right? And it cannot be owned or be replicated by somebody else.
What was the question again?
It's not really a question. It's more like a saying. I know what love is because I know what it's not.
Exactly.
So your idea of love and my idea of love will always be different.
Yeah, because...
Even if I tried to explain to you what my idea of love is or was, you will still, in your mind, create your own perception of it.
Yeah, because there's always... I don't know if you've heard of the 5 love languages. Have you?
I don't think so.
Oh man, that's a really good topic for a podcast too. We've covered it before, but basically there's 5 different love language.
Uh-huh.
There's hopefully I can remember it. So there's act of kindness.
Okay.
Affirmation.
Okay.
I think physical touch.
Okay.
Damn, I'm butchering this. Quality time. And fuck. Hold on. Let me look that up real quick. Keep them busy, Felicia.
But anyway, so it's not even just about, it could be anything, right? And I remember early on with my husband when I was in this English class, because it was a college class, I would tell my husband, we had this conversation about the colors black and yellow. And I was like super hardcore into it because I was basically saying, well, how do you know black is black? Or how do you know yellow is yellow?
People are colorblind too.
It's like, you know that color is that color because that's what you were taught, right? It's a word attachment to that particular symbol, so to speak.
Okay, so here we go. 5 love language. This is the 5 different ways people show love and people like to be loved.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's words of affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
There's physical touch.
Yeah.
Receiving gifts or giving gifts.
Wow.
Quality time and acts of service. So if you really think about, let's talk about love. You said you don't know what, everybody has their own perception of love or whatever you said. Because if you really know yourself, let's say if you like, which one do you think yours is from those 5? How do you like to be loved? So there's words of affirmation, which is, saying nice things to you. Physical touch, getting a little touchy. Receiving gifts or giving, or let's just say, how do you want to be loved, right? Receiving gifts. Quality time, which is hanging out.
I already know.
Acts of service.
I'm definitely quality time because my husband get annoyed from that. So
quality time means you like to hang out with him.
Yeah, he doesn't get annoyed, but I'm always like, but I want to.
Because if you really think about it, right?
Like,
so let's say you said you like quality time.
Yeah, I like quality time, and then second to that, like the touch. Like I like being close.
You like being cuddled.
Yeah.
So
I'm a cuddler.
Let's say, I don't know what his love language is. Mm-hmm. Let's just for
I'm gonna look at my quote now.
Little theory or whatever. Mm-hmm. Let's say his is words of affirmation, right?
Okay.
Let's say if he's he's always so sweet to you, like saying all these nice things, always saying I love you, whatever, you're beautiful, whatever. But then in your head, you're like, I don't really care about that. I want you to fucking spend time with me. And then, but in his mind, he's loving you because he likes to give.
Because that's his way of
giving.
His idea of love. Okay.
And then I think this is why people get so, like, in their relationship, people get so, like, fucked up, I guess, because they don't know people's love language.
That's
so when
true.
you're like, if you really think about it, let's say you guys fight because, like, oh, we don't spend enough quality time, but he doesn't give a fuck about quality time.
Right. Because that's not his idea of
love. Let's say, like, his is acts of service or whatever. Mm-hmm. That means, like, you're doing something for you. Let's say he does the dishes or the laundry. That means, like, oh, like, I'm showing you, like, I'm doing all this for you, right? But then in your head, it was like, how come you're not hanging out with me, you know?
Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah, so
that should be another topic for sure.
That's definitely another podcast topic, but that's just a little tangent that might be a little good little teaser for you guys too. Like, you should definitely look into love language.
Love language.
If you're dating somebody,
look into that. That should be a question you ask on the first date. Be like, yo, what is your love language?
Yeah,
and if it does not match, figure it out or move on.
Because honestly, like, I only knew about this like a couple years ago. And then I looked back at my past relationship.
Right.
So in my past relationship, because I like giving words of affirmation and I like receiving it, right?
Okay.
So, like, I'm always very sweet with my words, you know, I love you and you're so beautiful and blah, blah, blah. And then I think my ex-girlfriend was kind of quality time and probably gifts. And then she's always telling me, like, how come we never hang out? Or, you know, like, we always fight because, like, she wants, how come you never buy me stuff or whatever? Like,
oh, damn.
Not like buy her like expensive things, but more like, how come you never buy me flowers or whatever? But in my head, I don't give a fuck about giving flowers. It's just like stupid because you spend that much money for flowers that would die the next few days or whatever. Because, like, in my head, like, I'm already telling you that I love you and, like, I'm so sweet to you. Like, why do you not see it, you know?
Damn.
But then after finding this out, I'm just like, oh, shit.
It made sense.
Like, we never clicked because we never talked about it and we never knew. So, you know, sometimes you don't know. You don't know.
That'd be a good topic to have with, like, a couple or couples or something. Anthony, where you at?
Maybe we'll have Anthony on the podcast
with my 5 languages
talking about the
of
5
love.
language. Put him on the spot.
All right, so I found the quote, what I was trying to say about perfectionism, and we can probably end it here.
Okay.
All right, so this is what it says. It's more like a phrase. But I think perfectionism is just a high-end, haute couture version of fear. I think perfectionism is just fear in fancy shoes and a mink coat, pretending to be elegant when actually it's just terrified. Because underneath that shiny veneer, perfectionism is nothing more than a deep existential angst that says, again and again, I am not good enough and I will never be good enough.
Because I feel like that's how everybody feels, honestly.
And I was like, damn, that's my life.
Because everybody feels that way, you know?
I'm a fraud.
Like, we want to be perfect, especially now that, like, the social media.
Yeah.
You're always comparing yourself to everybody. Like, let's say somebody's doing something that you want to do. Mm-hmm. You're comparing yourself to that person. And then you always want to be... And then it's just like for yourself, too. Like, you want to show everybody that you're amazing or whatever. You're always putting the best foot forward, but then at the same time, sometimes that's not real, you know?
Yeah, it's not realistic. It's not sustainable. Almost.
Yeah, because, like, honestly, like, I mean, I feel guilty too because, like, sometimes when I post covers, because I'm a little insecure that sometimes I don't sing perfectly, and then sometimes not sometimes, all the time I put a little bit of pitch correction or auto-tune, whatever people call it. But then at the end of the day, who cares, right?
Who cares?
Like, why do I care? Because, like, honestly, the reason why I like to put auto-tune is because in my head, I want it to sound good.
Right.
I want to at least listen to myself singing how I want it to sound, I guess.
Right.
And why do I care what other people are thinking? And why do people care if I use autotune or not?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if they think the video is good, that's good.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we get so caught up about, obviously, like, we want to be authentic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then what is authentic to me is I always want to put the best foot forward.
Right.
So every time I do my videos, I always put like the extra effort. I always put the extra mile.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it takes me 30 minutes to set up just so I can make a 30-second video.
Yeah.
Because for me, like, I always thought guilty because I felt guilty because, it's not authentic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then that's just how I am, though. I always like to I'm always extra.
Yeah.
I'm just bougie like that, right? Like that's the authentic me, and not the
perfectionist you.
I don't know if it's perfectionist is the well, I guess that could be a perfectionist, but instead of the authentic me that, like, oh, this guy can't sing perfectly, the real me is the
Right.
one that actually makes the extra effort. So, like, that's the
But
authentic me,
But
I
in
guess.
regards to that quote, though, is that a part of you saying that if you don't do these things, then it's not going to be good enough?
Yes, I guess that's part of that.
That's what we're getting at. No,
Yeah.
it's going on too long.
I mean, like, I'm not denying it, you know.
Right, yeah. But I think it's something that we do all.
But at the end of the day, because, like, I like to do all those though.
Right.
So it's not that. I mean, we can all argue. We can sit here argue all day what's authentic and what's not.
And yeah.
Just
no.
like, yeah,
But I think it's finding that
the balance.
the
I guess.
balance between doing what you enjoy and doing too much to where
Yeah, because some other people
May not
might
be
think that
necessary.
I was like, oh, that's not authentic because you're using autotune.
right.
But then in my head,
It's what you like. It's what makes you happy.
that's what makes me happy. That's what I like, and I like making the extra effort because I always like to. I guess not say show off,
Right.
but I just want to put the best foot forward every single
So
time.
then at the end of the day, you're putting yourself first in terms of who you're trying to impress. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to impress myself.
More
You
like
know,
a self.
it's more
Oh,
of
you care
like
about me.
because I want to watch this video. I want to
And
listen
be
to
like,
it.
oh, I like it. I love it.
Yeah, and then, yeah, I think it's. I mean, like, obviously, it's just a whole balance, like what's authentic and what's not, because it's still me. It's not like it's fake, you know.
Right.
Um,
I feel it.
yeah, that's just a whole tangent that we just went. But, anyways,
You're welcome. I'm just kidding.
at the end of the day, I don't really give a fick. Fick. I don't give a fick. I don't give a fuck.
Whoa.
Yeah, just because I fucking messed that up too. I don't give a fuck what you think, anyways.
That's funny. Oh, man. There's some goodies in there, too.
There's some good shit in there.
Episode 2.
I feel like
Different setup.
I dropped some good shit in there.
Another office quote. I'm going to drop a deuce on everybody.
Mic drop. Let's just bye.
Oh, someone's going to bond with me over office.
Yeah, one up on that.
What was that?
You don't play Super Mario? Come on,
Oh.
Felicia.
It's been so long.
You don't know this one?
Anyways, go to sleep. Going to sleep now.
Is that it? That's the end of the
That was it.
episode?
That was the end of the episode.
Is there anything?
Thanks for listening in. I appreciate you listening to me talk about my life.
We're just ranting.
We're just ranting.
We're doing a therapy session for Felicia.
What
that
you
we're
don't
just-
know is that you're here to help me.
We're selfish people. We should be, though. I feel like we should all be
To an
selfish.
extent. Some people thought we should.
Because I mean, this is just going to be on another episode, but like, if you're always giving, it's like you're going to run out, you know?
Yeah.
You can only give what you have.
Yeah, that is a whole episode because I have a lot to say about that because I'm that person.
Yeah. You like you're a people pleaser.
I'm a people pleaser.
People pleaser.
Yes, man. Stupid. All right. Anyways, we're done.
Peace.
This is it.
We're out.
Peace.
Yeah, it's time
You
to.
got like an end button.
There's
Come on.
Peace.
I dig it.